Hey guys, this is Dr. Joe on this Wednesday evening. Hope you're fine wherever you are. Hopefully you can hear me okay. Let me get the Instagram folks online so that we can get the show started and so on. So anyway, let's have a look. Here we are. Oh, looks like we're not getting Instagram. That's interesting. Okay. Just 1 second. Okay, let's get the Instagram started. Just 1 second. Apologies. Just give me a second. I'll see if I can get Instagram going. So that way the folks on Instagram can join the conversation. Okay. Anyway, I hope you had a good weekend and a fantastic week. So looking forward to today's session. Should be very enlightening, and we're going to talk about all kind of stuff, including partnerships, and I don't think I don't think I can do Instagram today. Looks like we've already started, so it may not work. Oh well, sorry folks on Instagram, you're gonna have to just join us on YouTube. Anyway, so Dr. Joe's in the house on this wonderful Wednesday evening. Hope you're good wherever you are. And so today we're going to talk about partnerships and raising money. Not partnerships, really raising private money. And for a lot of people, that's real important because that's a source of financing for many people. So I kind of talked about, I call this today Money Talks, Win the Trust and the Capital of Private Investors. And as usual, break it down to 6 parts. And as usual, if you want to, got some questions, please put them in the chat box. I'll get to them in about 10 minutes. And likewise, if you want to do a dive, then you can book a one-on-one with me. Go to my website, www.joeasamoah.com. That's www.joeasamoah.com. And you can press the button that says Ask Dr. Joe and press the button there. So as I said before, today the focus is Money Talks, Win the Trust and Capital of Private Investors. And let's have a look. So so let's get the show on the road, as they say. Introduction. Our funding limitations. Holding your real estate dreams. Are you unable to grow your portfolio because of money? For a lot of people, that is. So for many real estate investors, whether new, growing, or highly experienced, the biggest constraint that many people have is finding deals. Isn't finding deals, it's really funding the deals. The conventional lending system is rigid. The banks, many times you got to provide all your full documentation, as they say. That's your pay stubs, W-2s, bank statements, do debt to income ratios. They may even ask for your tax returns. So it's rigid, it's slow, and often disqualifies creative or time-sensitive projects. Okay, investors really, love chase. The ones that are chasing banks, wait on approvals, and as a result of that, they watch good deals slip away through their fingers. So that frustration is real, and it's widespread. So private money offers a compelling alternative to that. And I'm going to talk about what is private money a bit later on, but it's a compelling alternative with the right relationships. It's all about relationships and structures in place. Private lenders provide speed, flexibility, and terms that traditional banks simply can't match. So, but here's the catch though. Private money isn't about just ROI, return on investment. It's about relationships. Really, you're dealing with people, and the strength of your private lending, systems is based on your ability to develop relationships with people. So lenders want to trust you before they ever trust your numbers. So it's all about trusting you as an individual more so than the deal first. Okay, they need to believe that you are organized, credible, honest, and capable. So what we're going to do in today's live stream is break down the exact strategies insights, and cautionary tales, lessons learned from me, shared by real estate investors who have succeeded and sometimes stumbled in their pursuit of private capital. So I'm not going to just sugarcoat it all, say all great things. There's some difficulties. It's not easy. And I'm going to share some of those, experiences that I've had, other people have had, and how to overcome them. So as usual, we've broken into 6 sections. And it's not just theory, it's day-to-day practice of raising private money, managing lender relationships, and also using these funds to build a profitable and sustainable portfolio. So whether you're trying to fund your first deal or your 50th deal, I think we're going to provide you with some good information that will help you on your journey. So let's dig into number 1, section 1, the relationship factor, the importance of relationships. And the question is, why do private lenders say yes to some investors and ignore others? So why do they lend money to some people and not others? Why is that? And that's what we're going to talk about first. The simple truth is that private lenders fund people, not necessary deals. It's people first. They put their money with you. You might have the best deal in the world, but if a lender doesn't trust you and doesn't like you, they're probably not going to fund it. Okay. So conversely, a seasoned investor often gets funded on the strength of their name alone. So they know this person, they know you, they know what you're about, what you stand for, and they trust you. And therefore, it may be easier for them to lend you money because they just trust you. So that's the power of relationship capital, a credibility asset that grows every time you show up, and with professionalism and consistency. So successful investors, they build this trust long before the pitch. Okay, they work on that first, the trust factor, before they start pitching and asking for money. They meet with lenders for coffee, send monthly updates, keep in touch, even when they're not raising money. Okay, just keep in touch, stay, keep them in the loop, and let people know what you're up to. The goal isn't to ask for money; it's to become the type of sorry. The goal is to be an investor who doesn't have to ask for money because people trust you and the money is out there. So one investor shared how he landed his largest funding round after years of sharing educational content and behind the scenes videos of some of his projects. So again, he's doing stuff, he's sharing that information with his network and letting people know what he's up to, what he's doing. And he's used that as a basis for establishing relationships first. Again, the goal isn't to ask for money, it's to become the type of investor who never does. So by the time he asked for capital, he was already trusted. People knew him and knew what he stood for. On the flip side, though, some investors ruin promising relationships by being late when it's time to get paid. They don't pay on time. They're unresponsive. They don't communicate, or they kind of give wishy-washy reasons as to why things aren't going, the way it's supposed to be. One private lender mentioned walking away from promising deal because the investor failed to confirm a simple meeting. His thought was, hey, if you can't keep a calendar, then I'm not sure I can trust you with my money. So trust is lost just as easily as trust is built, and it's almost never about the spreadsheet. So if you want long-term funding relationships, stop acting like a deal hunter and start acting more like a fiduciary. You're a protector of their funds. You're guarding their money, like a hawk. So be someone who makes others feel confident in you and about partnering with you, and not just somebody who, a one-time transactional thing. Build relationships. So what are some of the action items associated with the relationship factor? Schedule regular check-ins or casual meetups with potential lenders. No pitch involved. Develop a monthly investor update template and send it even when you don't need or you're not raising money. Always confirm meetings, return calls promptly, and follow through on small commitments. That's number 1, which is the relationship factor. Number 2 is the pitch that closes. The pitch that closes. And the question is, how can you create a pitch that inspires confidence and gets you funded? How can you create a pitch that inspires confidence gets you funded. Okay, well, an effective private lender pitch isn't just about flash or flare. It's about structure, clarity, and trust. Structure, clarity, and trust. Investors don't want a sales pitch. They want a confident, transparent breakdown of what you're doing, how it works, what are the risks, and how they're going to get paid. How they're going to get their money back. Okay, the best investors make their lenders the hero, not them, not the deal. Okay, a real estate pro, for example, this person, Maria, let's just call her, showed how her pitches improved dramatically when she stopped overselling and started storytelling. She focused on case studies, timelines, and clear return scenarios, and always included a plan B. If plan A doesn't work, what's the alternative? What if this doesn't happen? What are we going to do? So again, she'll provide photos, spreadsheets, loan documents, and all this kind of things to support her. Okay. So again, her mantra was facts over flash. There's no need to sort of do ragtag. It's just focus on the principles, focus on the important things, and build trust. So what are some of the action items? Create a standard pitch deck. That includes your background, deal summary, return structure, when they're going to get paid, and also the timeline. Practice your pitch until you can deliver it confidently in a few minutes, 5 minutes or less, and include an exit strategy for your deal. Okay, so that way people know how is the project going to end and they get their money back. Number 3, the paperwork that protects. When you're borrowing private money, there's got to be paperwork associated with that. So we're going to talk about that. What are the legal and financial documents do successful investors always prepare and use? Private lenders, like you and I, they still want protection. Okay, yeah, trust is good, but they want to make sure that they're protected, and rightfully so. Formal documentation is essential to any funding relationship. It safeguards both parties. It safeguards them. It safeguards you. Creates clarity and avoids costly misunderstandings. So having your legal and financial docs ready makes you look professional and makes it easier for the lender to say yes. So start with the essentials. The essentials are a promissory note, which is it's like a promise to pay, and it outlines the terms of the money or terms of the loan, the interest rate, and the repayment. You also may want to put a deed of trust or a mortgage securing the loan with a property. So if they don't pay, you can put a lien on the property, and also a personal guarantee if necessary. It depends on the lender. They may require a personal guarantee, which means that if for whatever reason, the entity that you borrow the money in fails, they're going to go after you personally. So these are the standard documents that every serious investor should have, templated and pre-reviewed by an attorney and ready to deploy when it's necessary. So, you can have a full loan package ready to go. So that way, if you come across an opportunity, you can, fill in the key information in the template and send it to your lender. So the speed and organization, what it does is that, again, it makes you look professional. It makes it look like you know what you're doing. And therefore, it builds trust as well. So what are some of the action items associated with the paperwork? Again, there are 3 key documents that you want to do as a private, if you're going to do private lending. The first one is a promissory note, which outlines the terms, interest rates, and the repayment. Second is a deed of trust to secure the property. And the third thing is a personal guarantee. Okay. So what are some of the action items? Work with a real estate attorney to prepare the documents and create a lender-ready packet so you can have it ready if necessary, and be prepared to explain what each document contains. Kind of halfway through. I'll be wrapping up in about 10 minutes. So if you got some questions, please put them in the chat box, and I'll get to them in about 5 or 10 minutes. If you want to book a one-on-one with me, whereby you can go to more detail, you can go to my website, www.joeasamoah.com, www.joeasamoah.com, and you can book a one-on-one. And book it there. Press the button, ask Dr. Joe. Okay, number 4, the power of transparency. The power of transparency. The question is, what role does transparency play in building lender trust and long-term relationship. What role does transparency play in building lender trust and long-term relationships? Well, when it comes to managing private lender relationships, silence, non-communication is dangerous. The most successful investors over-communicate rather than under-communicate. You want to keep people in the loop. You want to let people know what's going on. Provide timely updates. Flag issues early if there's something's going wrong. Never sugarcoat delays. Transparency shows maturity on your part, and it sets you apart from many other operators who go dark when things go sideways or things go wrong. Okay, so it's always good to keep people in the loop. It's not always, projects don't always go the way you want it to go. Sometimes it takes longer, sometimes it costs more, sometimes there are disputes, sometimes there are curveballs that you're going to face. It's okay. Keep people in the loop, let people know what's happening. But more importantly, what you're going to do to address and solve the problem. So rather than hide it, you want to notify people and update the scope, and also let people know how you're going to, address the issue. Be honest about it. I think it builds trust. So if you go silent, go ghost, and just disappear, it makes people worried, and that you're hiding something, or they can read between the lines. So it's always good to communicate, because silence is dangerous. Okay, when the lenders feel like they're outsiders, they act accordingly, and they may just decide to yank their money. Okay, let's go to number 5, which is the power of number 5 is what's it called? The track record advantage. The track record advantage. That's for people who have done this before. And the question is, how can you leverage your experience, even if it's limited, to earn trust? So you not necessarily have to have done 1, 2, 3, 10 deals. At some point, you have to start. And what I'm going to talk about there is for people who maybe haven't got a track record. How do you build that? You don't need 100 deals to raise private money. You just need a story, a plan, and the right positioning. Okay. A track record isn't about numbers. It's about demonstrating consistency, learning, and also results. If you've never done a deal before, you can still build credibility, through things like relevant skills, strong team, and also clarity of purpose. So you can leverage on other people. New investors can borrow credibility from mentors, partners, or past professional experiences. Okay, so one beginner investor, for example, was able to raise $75,000 after showcasing the project management background that they had in the construction field. She highlighted the systems, the support team, and the willingness to follow expert guidance. Seasoned investors obviously, can leverage on that, but not everybody has that. And so you want to present your track record, if you have it, resume, with proof of performance. And the more you can quantify and visualize your past wins, the more lenders will believe that you can do it. Don't hide your inexperience. Own it. It is what it is. And project confidence backed by preparation. And, that can usually get you started. And finally, number 6, which is learning from the bad and the ugly, learning from other people's mistakes, other people's experiences. And the question is, what do failed deals and mistakes teach us about private money success? What do failed deals and mistakes teach us about private money successes? Well, mistakes are inevitable. We all make them. I've made them. You make them, I'm sure. What separates great investors from the rest is how they respond and how they learn. Many top investors have faced budget overruns, missed timelines, or misjudged deals. I mean, these things happen, but instead of hiding from those moments, we use it as education, and we adapt and we improve, and hopefully we learn our lessons. So it does happen. You want to learn from other people, learn from your mistakes, and but don't blame the market. You do a post-mortem after the project about what went right, what went wrong, what would you do different like next time round, and also the lessons learned. And you can send that to your investors, you can send that to your team, you can send that to your network. What it does is that you develop transparency, and you can rebuild trust, and actually you can lead to new commitments. So again, things happen. Learn from other people's mistakes. If a lender, let's say a contractor walks out on you, okay, that could be a major problem. But you can put that together, get a new contractors, backup crew, and let everybody know that this is what happened. This is your plan to get it back on track again. So your failures won't define you, but how you handle them will. Own the bad, document the lessons learned, and then come back stronger. And finally, in conclusion for today, raising private money is more than a tactic. It's a mindset. It requires clarity, integrity, and the courage to lead with relationships over transactions. The best real estate investors aren't just good at finding deals. They're really good at attracting capital, because they understand what private lenders want, which is trust, transparency, and professionalism. This journey, it's not an easy journey, but it's something that you can do. It demands preparation, from learning to pitch effectively, thoughtful updates, and preparing documents in advance to bouncing back after failure. It's all part of the thing of building trust. So hopefully today's live stream was helpful. I try to make it more practical, more realistic for what you can do, what I've done in the past. And hopefully you can take this and run with it and start putting together your strategy for raising private capital. So with that said and done, my friends, I wrap it up for the education part. As if you've got some questions, please put in the chat box. I'll get to them shortly. If you want to shoot me an email, you can reach me at joe@joeasamoah.com. That's joe@joeasamoah.com. And finally, if you want to book a one-on-one with me, you can always go to my website, www.joeasamoah.com, www.joeasamoah.com, and you can press the button or ask Dr. Joe to schedule. Okay, so let's get down to some questions. This one is from Carlise. Hi, Carlise. Hope you're doing well. And let's have a look. We have here Nesta. What would be your advice to someone that wants to get into real estate but doesn't have the capital to get things going? Okay, what would be your advice? So you want to get into real estate, but you don't have a whole lot of money. And so I think you got a second part. Would you recommend taking a loan out of your 401k to invest in real estate? Interesting. Okay, so Nesta's question is, okay, he wants to get into real estate, doesn't have a whole lot of money, so what should he do? Well, there's different ways. You may not have money, but there are people that do have money. And many times people who have money don't have time. They don't have the experience. They don't, you've got something as well. You got some value. You're knowledgeable about real estate investing. You know how to do deals. You know how to complete a project, hopefully. So you have the real estate experience or the real estate knowledge, which they probably don't have. So there comes the making of a potential win-win. You got expertise and knowledge, but not a lot of money, and they have money, but probably not a lot of experience and knowledge. So there should be a way to create win-win scenarios for both parties. And so you may have to do a partnership. So that's one way. And then you decide on how that partnership should go. It doesn't always have to be 50-50. You just want to get going and have a track record. So you may want to, accept a bit less than 50-50. So while you're doing this project, you can document it, you can take photographs, and you can add it to your experience level. You can show people, potential private investors, what you're doing, and you can leverage that project to build your credibility. So that's something you can do. There are lenders out here whereby they'll borrow you not 100%, but they'll borrow you a significant amount, and maybe what you have is the difference. There's a lot of people who have self-directed, they have money in IRAs and other retirement accounts. Through self-directed IRAs, you can tap into that. I've done that approach before. So there are people that have good credit. You can leverage their credit in exchange for a piece of the action. So lots of different ways that if you don't have a lot of money, you can still proceed. But it's going to mean that you're going to have to work with or partner with people that do have money, and therefore have some kind of win-win scenario that makes sense for them and also makes sense for you. Your second part of the question was, would you recommend taking a loan out of your 401k to invest in real estate? I don't know. I'm not too sure if I've never done that before. Um, you may, if you take money out of the 401ks, I know there are penalties that you may have to incur. Um, again, I'm not an expert in that area, but I think there could be some potential penalties that you're going to pay. So you have to weigh whether the cost and the benefit make sense. You probably want to speak to an advisor, whether it be a CPA or an attorney, or some kind of person, a fiduciary, who can give you some suggestions, and so on. Okay, good question, Nesta. Again, if you got some questions, put them in the chat box. Aloha from Hawaii. Hi, financial firefighter. And let's have a look. What's this one? Good evening, Dr. Joe. Thank you for your tips. You're welcome. I'm on. And again, if you got some questions, please put in the chat box. I think I mentioned last time I'm going to be guest speaker at a real estate conference, Own It, Live It, experience through Erica in Atlanta. I'll be going there, I think, in November 6th, 7th, and 8th. So I'll be one of the speakers there. So looking forward to that one. I'll be going to Dominica in the Caribbean on the 25th of October for a couple of weeks. That'll be trip number 5 this year. So I'm looking forward to that one. My goal was to get 6. I don't know if I'm going to do 6, but I'll try and do at least 5 this year in terms of travel overseas to different countries. Okay, so I think we're wrapping. I'm going to wrap it up a little early today. So if you got some questions, please put them in the chat box. Otherwise, I'm going to wrap it up for today. And hope you have yourself a wonderful rest of the week. So again, private money is not easy, but it can be done. It requires a game plan. It requires building trust. It's a relationship building exercise. And you got to demonstrate your integrity. You know what you're doing. And people can trust you. Because if they don't trust you, they're not going to give you anything. Not one dime. Because people want to know who you are, what you do, what makes you different. They want to know what do you need from them in terms of money. They also probably want to know, well, how are you going to pay me back? And they also want to know is why should I give you the money? So you need to be able to answer all those questions as you develop your private money strategy and game plan. So my friends, I'm going to wrap it up. It's a little shorter today. It's 30 minutes. So I hope you have a wonderful rest of the week. And I'll see you next Wednesday at 7 p.m. Okay, take care.